Episode 170, Exercise. Never ever give up.
You're listening to the very best podcast in the world on health, wealth, and happiness. Please remember to leave a review and share with all your friends and family. And here is your host, Lars Hilser.
We've made it through another week together. Boy, the goals are rather small. Welcome to the very best podcast in the world, your only source in the universe for personal supremacy through health, wealth, and happiness. Now, that we have that out of the way, I have a confession to make. I lied yesterday. I wanted to go and drill into more detail about micro habits. And the reason we're not going to do that is because for you, I gave up everything and listened to my own voice on last Friday's episode. And I thought that I wasn't really specific or clear enough on a variety of things that I wanted to convey about micro habits and wanted to elaborate further, and figured out that I had already said enough of what I thought I hadn't said. Long story short, today's episode is going to be about never ever giving up on anything that you're doing. And before we get started on that, I think it's time for the, housekeeping. I'm going to do it until your ears bleed. So sharing is caring. Like every day, if this episode or any other episode that you listen to, resonates with you okay, rather than totally. However, you think while listening to it, hey, I got a friend or family member that in this example, is rather prone to throwing the towel a bit too quickly, from my understanding. Perhaps this episode is more for them, which is a good incentive for you to send them an email and say, look, I heard this episode of the very best podcast in the world, which I'm subscribed to, hopefully. And you share it with them. And that's how this altruistic community goes. I kind of foiled the plans to sell out to a sponsor. Perhaps, whatever will come along. No idea. Let's see in the remote future. And until that happens, at least until Monday, we're going to be talking about never giving up. And the reason I chose this was because I took a hot shower the other day. It's like a normal shower, but with me in it. And sorry, that was so lame. And I was kind of floating away memories of a contract that I was on many, many moons ago. I was consulting in security, and I was on my regularly scheduled downtimes, and which meant I was procrastinating at home and reading and trying and hacking and doing the normal shit that you do. And anywho, friend calls me up and says, look, I've got this buddy, and buddy needs help. He's being outbid on pretty much every contract that he submits a tender to, and he's got suspicion that he's been compromised by his competitors. And so I said, okay, I don't feel like it. Thank you very much. And he's like, no, you owe me a favor. Please, at least have a look. So interesting conversations over the phone happened the same day. The next day, I was on a charter flight to see the client, which was kind of like an engineering outfit, multi-continent footprint, several offices, just a fucking security nightmare. And the dude let's call him Buddy. Buddy was the managing director, and Buddy wanted to meet me in person. I don't know whether he wasn't convinced about my qualifications or whatever. Anyway, he flew me out. Nice gesture. We sat down for dinner, and I said, "Look, let me look at the plans because let me look at the reports that your competition Jesus Christ, the reports that my competitors had done. Well, not my competitors, but anyhow. So we reviewed the reports, and everything been done by the book. So it was time for out of the box thinking, which my friend had told Buddy I'm quite good at. So due to the fact that I wasn't really, in working mode, I, reluctantly kind of said, okay, look, we got this mutual friend. I'll dig into it. So, anyhow, interesting things happened. I kind of redid all the tests that my competitors had done, only to find out that, they had done them correctly. There's not a lot you can fuck up if you do stuff by the book. And, anyhow, I was several weeks into the contract, and Buddy walks up to me and says, look, you're charging us shitloads of hours to find a problem which may not be there. And I said, no, the problem is there. Definitely, we have the proof. All that was missing was pretty much a blueprint with the same fucking coffee stain on it, that the one that they had in their office. He was bothering me and breathing down my neck because he was worried about the money. It was not a mom and pop business. Keep in mind, this was a large outfit. But he was, looking, he had an eagle's eye on the balance sheet. So I was costing money, and nowhere near what my competitors had charged, by the way. And so anyhow, he was breathing down my neck, and I am pretty much resilient, absolutely resilient to pressure. So I said, look, I sat him down over dinner and said, look, we're going to figure this out. It's going to take time. But I do my regular insane 14, 16-hour days. And we're going to get there because I'm not the quitter type. Anyhow, several more weeks, his breath had gotten more stale and more warm. So, God damn it, these descriptions are just disgusting. And anyway, one night later, after another talk, I was sitting in a conference room, chewing down on a stale pizza, and it was, I don't know, about 2:33 in the morning, something like that. Disgusting time. And I was playing merry-go-round in the office chair, and my eyes always caught this paper shredder. That one of the very few objects that we hadn't exchanged in the process of, trying to eliminate listening devices or whatever. And for some stupid reason, my gut feeling said, wait, hold on. So I, slammed the brakes on my merry-go-round, took a last bite of cold pizza, and went over to this fucking file shredder, paper shredder. Then I called the office manager. Keep in mind, they were very grateful for my call at that time in the morning. I said, look, where's the janitor? I need tools. And they were like, fuck off. Don't bother me at this time. And anyhow, I bugged them so long that I called the janitor, and the janitor said, you're fucking insane. Similar kind of example. And I said, no, look, I need tools. I need a Phillips head, and I need, just give me your toolbox. Come to the office, give me your toolbox. We need this now. It's a matter of life and death, sort of. And so anyhow, he comes down with the most obvious grumpy face that he could make, hands me his toolbox, goes back to bed. Anyhow, I take this fucking paper shredder apart, and in it was a scanning device, right? And which, by itself is kind of, very interesting, very interesting shit to do. Right. And, anyhow, and with that, attached to that scanning device was, not remotely, but on the same kind of bus was a USB key, a very small one, very tiny one. So everything fit in the casing. This thing looked really, really, really like the real thing. And it was, put a piece of paper through it, comes out the other side in little bits. Thing was, before it was turned into little bits, the scanner took or made a scan of whatever was put in there. And that thing was stored on the USB key, which would then be replaced more or less regularly by one of the cleaning ladies, as we later found out. And that's how the information got out of the building. Where am I going with this? All right. Number one, cool James Bond shit. Totally with you on that. Number two, though, was that the people that were there before me didn't really think outside the box. They had their book, they had their checklist. Pretty much any idiot could have done that. It was about really narrowing things down beyond the book that led me to replace certain pieces of furniture, take apart certain pieces of furniture, think whether there were other ways that the information could have gotten out of the building. And eventually I ended up kind of narrowing it down to, kind of like a social engineering attack, that somebody had to get into that building regularly. And, that kind of narrows it down to cleaning lady. And, we had access logs. So there were no real regular visitors there. Anyhow, where am I going with this? Again, interesting question. There are a lot of you out there and people that I've met that are, even though they are quite sturdy and steadfast in, kind of executing on something, executing on an idea and pulling it through. But there comes a time when all of us crack. And I think for me, it's not the case in this example particularly, because I was just so fucking keen to solve this problem that I forgot everything around me. Even the fact that the dude was breathing down my neck, Buddy was breathing down my neck. And I didn't really bother because I was just so fucking interested in figuring out this problem that was confronted to me, that I confronted, well, anyhow, and that I went the extra mile to solve the problem, despite the fact that, it was insanely complicated. But yeah. So where does this go with the example, and how you can never ever give up, and where's the exercise part? Well, the exercise part in today's episode is really about figuring out things that you gave up on, and to scratch them back to the surface, bring them back to the surface, and try to give it another shot, right? This could be something as personal as, perhaps you're, just breaking up with your spouse or whatever. Give it another shot, talk to them, and see if there's not a chance to kind of recover it. Maybe you fucked up and you're too proud to admit it, right? Maybe there's a professional situation where you say, damn, I've kind of given up on my dreams on becoming or excelling in my career. Well, reevaluate that. This Corona situation is something very unique in our lives. And I think a lot of us would be better off looking at it as an opportunity to change careers. A lot of countries are issuing blank checks, for you to stay at home, and, these stimulus things going on. This could give you the financial break you need to reevaluate your professional situation. Maybe you want to go to school. Maybe you want to take online courses. You got plenty of time time. You know, it's not like everybody expects you to be in these fucking Zoom meetings every time. Plus, you know, you can make a still, put it up, and then, you know, do some online university courses. Sorry. But the point I'm trying to make is it's about the exercise, or today's exercise is about really digging out stuff that where you gave up on personally. You know, like I said, could be something personal, could be something professional, could be, you know, whatever situation you may think, damn, I may have given up too early, and to resurface that, review it, and, you know, think whether you should kind of invest the extra mile now and solve the problem. So in that sense, I hope this episode made more sense than the follow-up on micro habits. And hope you have a successful weekend discovering things you gave up on and giving it another shot. And have a nice weekend, long story short. And we'll be in touch on Monday when we're going to talk about your 10-year plan and how to achieve it in 6 months. So stay tuned. Have a nice weekend. Stay safe. We'll be in touch on Monday.